Hello, everybody. This is Two Flew West. I'm Donnie B. GotDaBeats here with my brother Nick Baker. Today we have the pleasure. Sorry, I'm stumbling. We have the pleasure of bringing on our next guest, musician, radio personality Xander, all the way from Saint Lucia. How you doing?
That's me. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm loving it, man.
Awesome,
I'm
awesome.
nice and warm. It's the tropics, so I'm nice and warm.
Hey man, look, I'm super excited to have Al on, man. Just to give some context before Al gets into everything that he does, and we get into our questions. I met Al on a cruise. He's the activity director, and we'll get more into that and what you do. But like, when I tell you, like, just humble, cool dude, like, made it fun, interactive. It was one of those people that, like, when we were done, he was like, hit me up, like, I'll give you the footage from this. And like, a lot of people sometimes say that, like, oh, hit me up, yeah, here go my information, hit me up. And you hit them up and they'll hit back, or you never hear from them again. And like, Al was true to his word, like hit him up, he hits back, you know what I mean? And just constant interaction and like back and forth. And it's just been super cool. So
Awesome.
definitely happy I had the pleasure to meet him, and definitely happy he was able to join us today on Two Flew West.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Xander, who is Xander? Like, give us your backstory, like for those that's not familiar with who you and where you're from.
Well, Alexander, full name is actually Al Alexander. And I was just like, you know what? That's already an alliteration. So I just decided to just Alexander and just play the play on my name, on my actual name. So you just have Alexander if you want to just say Alexander. I'm from the beautiful island of Saint Lucia. I grew up. I went to school here. I've always been passionate about music from the age of 14. And also, I've always been complimented from my voice. From the time I know myself, my mom would always tell me, your voice has some power to it. And I remember even at high school, I had a teacher who told me my voice commands attention. And I never took those things for granted. And as soon as I got opportunities, I maximized on my experience as a musician back here in St. Lucia. It's the Caribbean, so I was introduced very early to some steel pan. That's my main instrument, and steel pan it's similar to marching bands in the United States. It's the same concept. Like there's an orchestra, not just one steel pan. Like most, is normally popularized as a small ensemble, but you can get a steel pan orchestra. There are orchestras ranging from 45 to 100 people. And this was like my music university, if I'm being fair to it. And I can come back to that in a while. But the musicianship I learned was all through steel pan. And I just realized steel pan is my passion. And I've been trying to balance steel pan and radio. And back home, I've had opportunities to work on radio since when I was a teenager. There was a radio program with teenagers. It's called Safe, on the national radio stations called Radio Saint Lucia, and I took part in that. And then ever since, I've been bouncing off radio stations. And I then took both of those talents to cruise ships. I started as a musician, as a steel pan player, about 10 years ago. And as soon as I came to the cruises, I noticed that hold on, I think I'm connected to. Oh, that's what I'm connected to data. Let me switch to my Wi-Fi. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't want to get this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2021. We used to that.
Oh, back to data.
Sorry about that. You good? Yeah, I think I'm connected to the data now, the Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. Sorry about that.
No, you good.
Yeah. So when I got to the cruises, I noticed the cruise staff entertainment. I was just like, oh man. You guys still there?
Yeah, you good.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I disconnection a while ago. Okay, I think we're there. We're there, right?
Yeah, you're good.
Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, so I was saying when I went to the cruises as a musician, which I enjoyed, I noticed the cruise department, which is similar to being a radio announcer or MC or personality, and I coincidentally aligned myself with it, and the rest is history. My talents were acknowledged right away. I did All in America first as a show host, and then I went to celebrity some years after, following a girl to celebrity, and I am now an activity manager with celebrity. Yeah, so this is my journey growing up as Al.
Uh-oh.
I think that's awesome. I mean, it was already, to me, it was like one of those scenarios where it was like, there's a whole bunch of nuggets. I was like, I never really even knew any of that kind of thing existed. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just bunch of the craziness, but
yeah, I think especially with us being musicians as well.
yeah.
I think you never know what I mean, I didn't know about the steel pan thing at all. Like
that's what I'm saying.
That there's orchestras of them. I thought it was always a one person situation. You know what I mean? But to know that you can have more, that's like kind of crazy. And then taking all the talents to the cruise ship, like I don't know. That's just something, you know what I mean? You don't come up thinking like, here's a lane you could go. You know what I mean? Especially when you're like maybe fresh out of high school, fresh out of college. Like how many people that we know like said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look into, be doing some entertainment on a cruise ship.
Right.
I don't think it's something that you would normally like. You know what I mean? It's just not the norm that comes up. But I think it's like a super cool avenue to go after. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a very interesting situation. I mean, to me, I think it's funny. Maybe not get the correlation, but it's like kind of like what's the name of that show, Ozark. You know what I mean? And the move to get the boat, but in order to get the boat, you gotta make sure all the stuff is. You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know. It seemed like it matched, but what else?
Cool. Well, we can wrap it up on some other things, and hopefully Al can get back in.
Yeah, he's trying to pop back in the show, in the green room, but you know what happens. Now let's go on this James Harden.
James. Well, first off, James looked like Florida Evans right now. He kind of pudgy out there. I don't know what the hell he be having them sweatsuits on. I'm like, God damn, James, you look like you can put down a taco or four. I mean, he still gets it in, like, which is crazy. Like, I mean, when he out there, he's still working and cooking people. But in them warm-up suits, he looked like he like, what is going on with James?
Hey, let's put a pin in it. Hey, give a second. We got Alexander right back. Hang on.
All right, go.
There you go.
Hey.
Hey.
Yes, I'm back. I'm back. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. So this is, as I mentioned, this has been my journey to cruises.
Oh, that Saint Lucia Wi-Fi got you a little patchy right now.
Oh,
you breaking up a little, Al. You gotta go to another corner.
that's unfortunate. I was really interested.
Oh, we're gonna make it happen. So this is what happens on air, especially online and dealing with technical difficulties.
Hey, you know, like I said, people don't understand. It's very common these days. So you know,
Exactly. I mean, why you know, again, we can switch back to the James Harden, you know, looking like a Teletubby when he come out there. And I don't mean to be going on James Harden this hard, but it's just like because I'm not the skinniest dude in the world either. But you know, at the same time, I'm just saying like it just looked weird to me because like he looked crazy in the warm ups joints. But with all that said, it's interesting this whole Nets move. I mean, I think Houston definitely made out. We probably won't see it right away, but I think they made out in the trade. Like you know what I
mhm.
mean. Um, I the Brooklyn move. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like all three of them like to have the ball in their hand. KD is probably the least of the three who need the ball in his hand to an extent.
Mm.
But Kyrie and who knows what you know. I don't. Is Kyrie back yet? Like Kyrie's
Whoever
been
really knows.
he's been protesting, so I'm not sure what he's doing. But I'm thinking of all three of them, and I don't know if their games complement each other that well. It's going to be interesting to see. What did you think about it?
I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this, man. Like the fact that this trade was forced, and the fact that okay, hang on a second, we have Alexander back in the chat in the green room. We'll get to my point. There we go.
Yeah.
You back?
I heard you said trade. I'm hoping I hope you're talking about James Harden trade, right?
Yeah, we just hopped into it like while we were figuring things out. You know what I mean? But we can come back to it. We want to
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
we give you some shine, man. We want to make sure we talk about what you got going, and we're gonna
Okay,
get back
cool,
to
cool.
that. We'll get back to the James Harden trade.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so I think I encapsulate what Al stands for as an entertainer. I consider myself a full-fledged musician, and I also just love radio, love being a personality. And every time on an island, it's just so amazing how I get connected so easily back. So one of the stations, as soon as I came back on the island, it was like, hey, when you getting back on cruises, I was like, well. Cruise ship seems to be on a pause for a while, so yeah, and then I just
Yeah,
jumped on board radio station Real FM. Kudos for them for checking out for me, and then just it's like as I said, it's just like riding a bike. You never forget how to ride. It's just but radio has evolved though. Radio has evolved.
yeah.
I started radio 10 years ago. I went to teaching, and then I went to cruises, and then I thought I would just jump back in, and then not realizing a lot of the radio announcers are actually DJs, like full-fledged DJs. And then I didn't really consider myself a DJ, and I just had to adapt. I was like, oh, well, I need to prepare my music. I need to have a catalog of music. And then I just adjusted to it very quickly. Yeah, it's been back at radio. I love it.
Gotcha. Well, look, I mean you've touched on it already a little bit about like kind of getting into the cruise industry, but
Mhm.
while we were talking, like me and Donnie were just talking about how it doesn't seem like at least where we grew up at or like our normal conversation that like going into that industry is like a normal lane that people think of. So like what is that
Mhm.
like what is the process of even like getting into that industry? Because I think it's a pretty cool like industry to be in. I mean, you get to travel, you get to do music you love.
Yeah.
Like I think it's combining a lot of things. But how would people even get involved in like being in the cruise industry?
I'm glad I've gotten this question in before already, and I'm glad I actually have a very simple and jovial answer to it. Google. I kid you not.
Mm,
I decided to when I decided to go back. When I decided to, the first time I went to cruises, a friend I felt I was recommended. A friend just said, "Hey, I'm working on a cruise ship. Do you want to join my band?" And I was like, "Okay, on a cruise ship." Like it's like a paid vacation. Why not? And actually, I got the best perk of being on a cruise ship. as a guest entertainer. So I was literally a guest. If I'm not performing, I could drink, I could dress down. I don't have to wear name badges. I was a guest entertainer, my first ship contract. And then I went back to being a school teacher, and then I got frustrated with the kids pretty much. I was like, I need to get back out there. And I literally just went on the internet. I Googled how to find entertainment on cruises. And then I got to know that as a musician, you need an agent. And I just went on Facebook. I looked for cruise ship groups, and then I started seeing the agents posting stuff in the cruise ship groups. And I picked up on one of the cruise ship agents for musicians, and I sent them my material. When I got in contact with them, when they asked me for my material, as a musician, you need to send your voice, your show reel of what you can do. I remember paying a photographer a low set of money to make a show reel for me. And the guys were so conscious. They told me, we're not sure if you're the one playing. Can you do one for us with just you playing? And then I just went into my living room. I just played the steel band. And he took that. And in 3 days, he got me a contract on a cruise ship. And I was like, wow, it's so simple. So I guess that's, and now I'm doing research. Now I'm into it. I know that's just for entertainer as a musician. That's how you start up. And then back here in Saint Lucia, there is actually a recruiting company that recruits different jobs, from bartending to waiters, to like almost all the other aspects in cruises. They come down here, they guide you, they tell you what you need, what documents you need, what medications you need, and they guide you all the way till you get to the cruise ships. So that's what I'm saying. So basically, if you do your research on the internet, you can definitely find how to get on a cruise ship. So that's my journey of how I got there, and I love it. I've not regretted. I don't know if you guys wanted to touch base on it, but I'll touch base on it very quickly. Not very quickly, but I'll touch base on the stigma or the stereotypes of it. The first thing I would say about the stigma and stereotypes about it, I think you also have to understand economies. And I'm going to go with the biggest elephant in the room is it worth getting the money there? And I think to answer that, you have to understand your economy. I will say this much. As I said, I consider myself privileged. I used to be a school teacher. And I kid you not, I probably make the monies I make. School teachers in Saint Lucia, they're one of the people that live very comfortable. Well, I mean comfortable, but they could get, they're government workers, so they could secure loans to build a house. And the money that the school teachers make on a cruise ship, I make 3 or 4 times more than that. So just to put in perspective, and a lot of the jobs, well, now as a manager, obviously the money increases as a manager. But I mean, when I started as a musician, I was already making, as an entry level, I was already making 2 or 3 times more than I made as a school teacher. And then I'm just saying, in that economy, in our economy, it works perfect. So in the Philippines, they say about, like, the people in the Philippines, they're living the life. After getting the money, when they go to the Philippines, they make the life. So that's one of the arguments you have to think about. In the United States, I know people from the United States. There are not many people from the United States, but on cruises that I know, they are, but not as heavy as the Philippines and the Caribbean. I know they have a lot of UK people. The UK people, I'm wondering, is it just something to get the experience, or is the money worth it? I've not really asked someone who lives in the UK if it's profitable for them to consider it as a lifelong career, working on a cruise ship. And to that point, I also don't see it as a lifelong career, not necessarily for the money, but in terms of where I want to go and how I want to settle. So I'm now starting a family. I just had a daughter. My daughter turned a year. And thanks, man. And I don't really see myself 6 to 7 months. And right now, because of the COVID, my girlfriend and I, we were just planning to build a family together, and COVID just separated us. So right now, my family's in South Africa. So moving forward, I do want us all to be in the same place and spending more time together. And I'm not saying the cruise ship, I think I can do that. I've seen families I've seen guys with families work on cruise ships, like especially management. There's a chef, there's a head of the chef. He had an amazing plan. So he would bring his kids on for summer. I think this is around the same time I met you, Nick. He had his kids on the entire summer, and then he would take his vacation when they started school. So he would be home when they're going back to school. And I was like, wow, his system works very well. And as a manager, they have a lot of amazing perks to cater for having your family on board with you. So I like both, but I'm just saying for me, I see myself transition back to land for many reasons. There are a lot of other projects I want to do, and it's kind of limited just traveling all of this if you're not stationary. And also, my plan is, which I'm already working on, is have my own entertainment company or like an agent to actually recruit people to go on cruises. That's what I'm working on now, and I'm eager to start launching. Maybe during the COVID, if cruise ships don't launch as quickly as possible, I might, when they're ready, I might just be someone who's branding entertainers to go on cruise ships.
That's dope. That's dope. Like, so with that, is there like an age limit? Because like what I think about is like either people like just even high school, let's say even college, like as
Mhm.
like jumping into it as like a very, I think it's a great experience. You know what I mean? Especially like you said, for
Yes, yes,
musicians, entertainers. Is there any age limits or anything like that? I mean, I would figure at least 18 probably, but
yes. I was going to get to that. So you said that, and I actually I picked up on it, but I'm glad you brought it back. So the age limit is actually 18,
mhm.
but a lot of the departments prefer to take you at 21. The
Mhm.
reason for that, there is a conflict of interest or dilemma with having an 18-year-old on a cruise ship where there is alcohol serving. And technically, a lot of the cruise lines, they do work under American law. So if you cannot serve or someone who's under 21 cannot be served alcohol or should not be at a bar. And
Yeah.
you can understand the complexity of it. Like, I mean, who's going to monitor the 18-year-old if they go to the crew bar? Like, and as I said, it can put many people's jobs at risk because if the bartender who's not paying attention, who's not asking anybody for ID, serves the 18-year-old a drink, that's against the law. You can't really do that, you know. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of departments prefer not put themselves in that dilemma, and they start hiring at 21. But I have met and I know of 18-year-olds that are working on cruise ships, mainly, and I'll be honest, in entertainment. Okay, all the other departments know, but in entertainment, a lot of the cast members, they fall into that. They normally start at 18, 19, 20, and they come on the cruise ships.
Cool. Cool.
Hey, listen, I got a question. It's
But
kind of
yeah, but I would encourage. Yeah, sorry, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to finish off and say, to your point, it's actually something. When I come back here, when I go to school, sometimes schools call me to give some speeches, and I tell a lot of people, the young kids, like, yo, like, go on a cruise ship, find. It's a perfect place to find yourself and learn different cultures. In fact, straight to that, in terms of different cultures, I remember once I was in St. Kitts, and I don't play football, but I was with my friends, so I went to see them play soccer, or as you guys said, soccer. And they were playing soccer, and I looked at the field. There was whites, there was blacks, there were gays, bisexual, all of that playing soccer, and I was just like, wow, like imagine all of that is happening in a battlefield. Sports is a battlefield, and I just saw that so beautiful, like how we're so forced to just learn how to accept. It was a moment I will never forget, and that's what I would just say about the experience about working on a cruise ship. And I would encourage any young person. It's a good place. It forces a lot of people to understand cultures because there is zero tolerance for almost there's zero tolerance for alcohol, for drinking, and there's zero tolerance for prejudice and all of that. So I think a lot of people, maybe even if they are whatever, we're not going to get into that. I guess not. But even if they are, it's because of the environment. It forces them to, have more of an open mind with different cultures, and we do embrace all cultures. Like when there's a crew parties, man, I wish it wasn't a crew party when you cruise, man. The crew parties, they y'all thought y'all had fun at college. Y'all thought y'all had fun at university. Wait till you experience a crew party, man. Yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah.
Dope. Donnie, you had a question?
No,
Yeah,
no worries. No, I think I was going to ask a question. I think you answered it pretty much. I guess the other question I have is how is it a competitive market, like as far as by way of cruise ships? Because it seems like that's there are actually a lot of them. You know what I mean? So is that something that is like a have you experienced a lot of competition from different types of ships or brands?
Okay. Your answer is already in your question. Brand. It's simple as that. And I'm happy that I've experienced different cruise lines. I've experienced, I guess I'll mention them. I've experienced the Holland America. I've experienced the Carnival. I've experienced the Celebrity, the Royal Caribbean, the UK brands, P&O. I've experienced a wide variety of brands. And I'm glad I did, because exactly the word I'm mentioning there, it's brand. It's just a brand. And people have to be so careful. Do not, in everything you stereotype. And there is branding for a reason. There's no better. I will say that much. I don't believe there's a better cruise line. It's just what's relevant to you. It's what's the cruises are competing. Hey guys, you there?
Yeah, we here now. I feel like you're dropping gems, but it's choppy. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
The last thing
yeah, it's Wi-Fi, man. I'm hearing you guys.
Yeah. You good. The last thing we heard was you said no one is really better. No brand is necessarily better. It's all about what's relevant to you.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the last statement we heard.
Yeah. So and I'm going to touch base on they're competition, but they're not really competing against each other. They all have their niche markets. So they do find the competitors. And moving straight forward, they do find the clientele. Sorry, I'm going to say they do find the clientele of what they're looking for. And trust me, people. I remember when COVID hit, and also people. Well, the whole world didn't know where COVID was going to go, and so cruises, the immediate cruises were canceled, and the summer cruises sales went up by 200, 300%. Like people bought more cruises during the summer. Like they were anticipating, like, yo, this we love cruises. So all of them, from the Carnival, and I would even add more of that. Regardless, it's branded. Every cruise line has a different brand, a different color they offer that brand. Every ship in that company is also different. So the ship you might be on, you might go to another ship in the same company, and you might have a completely different experience. Because it's just, and that's what I noticed. And once again, let's go with the stereotypes. I'm not throwing any company in the bus, but one of the companies I worked on, I know there's a stereotype of it as being like, the fast food of ships. And I worked for the cruise line for a while, and then only when I realized, like, some of the smaller ships, I felt the stereotype of it. But then I went to the newer ships they had, and I was like, whoa, this is nice. Like I would spend my money to come and cruise there, like, in terms of what I would consider something I would want for myself. I would spend my money to come and cruise with them. Like, especially the new ships. The newer ships in any cruise line are very up to date. They're very, new era, new modern, everything you could. The facilities are up to the points. I love it. And as I said, I haven't burned any bridges, any of the cruise lines I work with. I think they're all doing phenomenal. It's just right now in my life, the branding I wanted to experience was with the company I'm with right now, which is Celebrity. And I haven't regretted it. I love it, and I'm looking forward to heading back already.
You know, the one thing I can piggyback off that with is that, like, I feel, you know, I've done a couple cruises, different brands,
Mhm.
and I really think it's about, I mean, it's the people that are there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me can make a whole experience. The entertainment, you know what I mean? The to where you eat at, um, people who may take care of you in your room, like. You know, we had
Yeah,
me and my
Stuart.
wife had someone who came to our room and, like, I swear he was like Batman with it. We would go to the we would go check the computer and come back to our room and our bed would be made with chocolates on it. It was like, how did you even get
Yeah.
that done? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, like, those type of things, and like he was super
What?
cool. Yeah, he was like super cool. He knew our names and, like, you know what I mean, made it very personable. And,
Yeah.
like, I think
Yeah.
those type of things are what make cruises. I mean, of course, where you go is part of it as well. Like,
Mhm.
but on the
Yeah.
actual ship, I think it's about those interactions that make you remember your experience the most. So
Yeah, and it's definitely and just universal in terms of whatever you do.
that part.
Everything. All the smoke. I got all the
Literally,
smoke.
yo, yeah,
You
it's not
back now?
necessarily you guys here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you back now.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the product. It's not necessarily the product you're selling that has customers coming back, but is the customer service, and and that's one of the things I love about traveling and comparing it to Caribbean life. Like Caribbean life is nice, but the stereotype associated to us is laid back, and it's cool to lay back sometimes, but laid back affects customer service sometimes, and that's
Mm,
something being working international, coming back to the islands. Some things I don't really like about the islands is there's some things that are just laid back. It's just a lifestyle. It's just but I tell people
yeah,
like what really makes an experience is the customer service. And don't take it personal. Customer service is not personal, so it's business
yeah,
and it has its benefits. And in the cruise line, we pride ourselves on that and make sure. And as I said, that's why people come back all the time. It's really the experience you get on cruise. And to just what you're saying about the stewards, we have some of the crews we do have stewards too, and I love it all the time. Every time I come back to my cabin and the cabin is spotless, like
yeah,
man, it makes flawless.
yeah,
As I said, maybe obviously they give the guests even better service. The
yeah,
service I get, and then I feel like I'm cloud nine with the service I get in my stateroom, flawless the guests. So yeah, they go all out, man, because they do.
yeah, yes. I had one more question about in the cruise line industry. With us being in COVID, like this pandemic, and you know, it's been going on almost a year now. What do you think, if any, the long-term effects
Yeah.
on, like, cruise lines and the cruise industry will be? Like, do you think it will be different forever, or do you think eventually it'll go back to how
Uh,
it's always been?
I think it will be normal. When I mean normal, let me say what I mean like what's happened on the cruise ship. Remember, the first business is the cruise ship, the actual hotel. So I think the actual hotel aspect of cruising will be automatic. Like as soon as they invite people back on the cruises, the cruise ship will do whatever it can to cater for you in their hotel. Though what I don't know what is going to go back to normal is itineraries. I obviously COVID doesn't matter how quickly we put it on the curb. They will have a lot of protocols, so a lot of countries will probably have bet more restrictions and sort of things. So certain places will probably not be able to visit. That's the only backlash. But the cruise ships, I am sure they're realizing the benefit to them for having less places to go. It means more of the customers will stay on board and spend the money on board. So my trajectory is that I think cruise ships, and people are waiting to go on cruises. I think cruise ships, just the aspect of the hotel aspect of it, I think it will just go back. It will happen as soon as possible. Like they will not have too much hiccups, too much changes. The changes will always be in protocols. But something I want to highlight right away, and also I think I've noticed the mainstream media, especially in the United States, seem to have a very stereotypical look, stigmatized, not stereotypical, but also stigmatized of cruise ships. And for the likes of it, I always feel there's two sides to a story, and I never understood why cruise ships seems to be the most disgusting place to go, especially post-COVID or even pre-COVID. And on the cruise ships, we were already practicing living like there was COVID. There is something called sanitize. I can't remember the terms now, but there's something called sanitizing levels. And I kid you not, if there are about a handful of cases of GI, gastrointestinal cases, like if maybe about depending on the ratio of guests on board to the amount of people that call in with gastrointestines, which is a normal day thing everybody have on land, they put the ship in code red, meaning every single hour they're sanitizing, and that was before we even knew what COVID was. They put everywhere sanitizing is in code red. Every minute they're sanitizing. If you go into the buffet, nobody's allowed to serve themselves anymore. They're serving you. Even the servers had gloves and masks. So this is something we're seeing already. The cruise ships has already been equipped to cater for cruise for post-COVID. And as I said, I was a little disappointed when I've been watching a little news media, and then like even my boy Trevor, like they were clowning on cruise ships, like, yo, you guys want to go back on cruises? And I'm just like, well, I get what you guys are saying, it's a confined space, but this is not a business that started overnight. This is 100-year-old business. They have been conscious of how to take care of people in closed spaces. In fact, the world should be asking the cruise ships for advice to handle post-COVID. That's my honest take on it.
There you have it. A gem right there. Joe Biden, you heard it. Once you get in there, ask these cruise ships what they doing. Because I mean, I agree with that. I mean, you know, I love cruising, and I've never felt it was like, you know, not well taken care of, sanitized, clean. It's a lot of people, and I think that might lead to some of the fear. Again, it's just like a lot of people, like you said, in a confined space. But I've never had a thought of like sanitary. I mean, I think cruises sometimes are better than like you said, like hotels, like conventional hotels, like service and the cleanliness of it is better than hotels that I've been in, like plenty of hotels that I've been. You know, so yeah, I think it may linger around a lot of the amount of people.
I've noticed it, and then I just like I actually feel like I want to address this more, and I want to advocate for like it's unfair. Like there's always two sides. I'm not saying the fear that they have doesn't have some kind of truth to it, but it's like saying why are you riding a motorcycle? You know it's dangerous to ride. I was like, yeah, but there's protocols to ride safely on a motorcycle. Like, you know, so people are just more worrying about the risk factor, saying, yo, your life is at risk if you're riding on a motorcycle. But there's also people who could train you how to ride properly on a motorcycle. And there's always accidents. There's always accidents, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the best analogy I could give about it. What people are saying, they're not totally wrong, but I think they're misleading. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll talk. I think we wanted to take a little time to talk more about that, like the steel pan. I mean, you kind of told us how you got into it. One thing you might not know, me and Donnie both are musicians as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, you know, we heavy backgrounds in music. Donnie's a like music producer extraordinaire. I dabble with the production. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think you dropped the information about like how there's like orchestras of steel pans. I've always looked at the steel pan and just been like, how do you even know where to like play? Like, I've seen you on video playing, and you doing like the no look play and talking to the camera. So, just tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, I feel I'm very quick to educate everybody about steel pan. It's a percussion instrument. Let me go very geeky on you. It's a percussion instrument. It falls on the idiophone. As much as some people call it a steel drum, I don't like to call it a steel drum because once again, my geek musician comes in. A drum is something called a memberphone. It uses a skin on the material itself. So like a drum, the normal drums, a drum set, that's drums. The steel pan cannot be a drum for one major reason. It uses the material itself to produce a sound, like a triangle. So it's an idiophone. That's why we don't, in the Caribbean, we don't call it steel drums, we call it steel pans. That's the name that was given. It looks like a drum, similar to a saxophone. A saxophone is made of brass, and they're a brass instrument, but the saxophone is not a brass instrument for one main reason. It uses the reed of wood to produce the sound. So it's a woodwind instrument and not a brass instrument. So that's a quick music 101 on the instrument. It's a percussion instrument. It was invented in the Caribbean, in Trinidad to be specific. And it has grown so quickly. And as I said, most people see it as it represents the Caribbean. And we gladly love representing the Caribbean with it. I love playing reggae. I love playing soca, calypso, but the instrument has I wouldn't say surpassed, but the instrument has grown into different genres, and it is actually built as an orchestra. So the beauty of steel pan, if you really want to hear steel pan, you need to Google, YouTube steel pan orchestras, and then you will start seeing the magic. I very early when I started steel pan I was 15, I went to Trinidad for a World Music Festival, and the steel bands were playing classical music. I remember a band played Star Wars theme. There was Phantom of the Opera, and even some of the steel pan musicians created their own orchestra. One of the most interesting pieces, I can't remember the name of the piece, but it was right after 9/11, and someone composed a piece about 9/11. And I remember listening to the steel pan, and you could hear the planes crashing into the building, like on steel pans. You heard the planes crashing into the building, and it was just beautiful musicianship that they created. And even something I always try to advocate for, in terms of, I always said that my musicians, I studied music too. There's a school of music here, and I studied music, and I wanted to further. I made a decision to go on cruises, also to make money to go to get my first degree in music, and I ended up staying on the ships because the guys who finished the degree, they were asking me, "How did you get on cruise ships?" So I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm making the money to go to college to get the job I already have." So that's why I decided not to go back. But however, the musicianship that I learned while being in a steel band orchestra, I remember when I started studying music felt so much easier for me. One of the biggest discovery on the steel pan, the main steel pan instrument is called a tenor pan, although it has a soprano range. It's called a tenor pan. I can't remember why, but yeah, it's a tenor pan, but it has a soprano range. That's my main instrument. It's the most popular steel pan. There are a whole family of it. It is actually designed after the circle of fifths. So any musician will know about the circle of fifths. So I discovered that before I studied music, it's the note sign fifths. And when I went to study music was a piece of cake for me. To transpose music was like, it's in my head. I literally just see my instrument when I'm transposing music. So when they will try to tell me key signatures, how many sharps does G make?
It was right there.
Still there?
We with you.
Hold on, one second.
Things first and now.
All right, no, you back now. You good?
I'm still there.
You're good now. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Like back to you was the nugget was right there.
Oh yeah, we getting into serious music now.
There, you said the circle of fifths. Yeah, man. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think.
You
You
back?
good?
Yeah,
You good now?
yeah, the
There you
circle
go.
of fifths, and it's right there, and it just helped me. Music was so much. Oh man.
No, you here?
Yeah, I think I got a warning about my Wi-Fi again.
Got it.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem that strong.
No.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm there. Yeah, I'm just saying, and then the circle of my instrument is basically the fundamental of music. It's the circle of fifths, and music theory was a piece of cake for me. I literally remember the exam we did after. I think you'll call it diploma. We have something called CXs. I remember I did this, and I felt like I was insulted because like the way I prepared myself on steel pan, music theory was. It just seemed like everything I learned in steel pan. So the big point I want to bring to quickly now is that I find the musicianship we learn in a steel pan yard. That's what they call it now, to go to the steel pan, and it's free. Like literally, just go down to your community. There's a community band there, and they teach you music. And the musicianship you learn there. Imagine a lot of people when they start learning steel pan, they learn like complex music, like as if it's a symphony. And the music you learn there is similar to going to university. And I'm just like, for the likes of it, hey, this is a learning institution. Why don't we find something to, as well, they say accredited. I still find accreditation is like saying it's we giving you a gift, we handing you something. And then I don't want to hand out. I want you to realize that this is a proper learning institution. And I literally I can have a conversation with any musician. And that's what, even now, that's one reason I felt like I didn't want to go to university. I was like, yo, I feel like my musicianship is just on par with someone who probably went for a 2-3 year degree at a university just by playing steel pan and the level of musicianship we learn in the steel pan orchestra, you know. And I would encourage anybody to look more into it, and that's what I want to also do, is start advocating, because there is a lot of stereotypes to the steel pan of make it seem like it's limited, and or brand box it as it is just reggae or calypso, or hey, can you play Bob Marley for me? And all that's cool. I'm not saying I don't want to run away from our identity. We're Caribbean, yes, but yeah, I could ask me to play a jazz, sing for you about Charlie Parker. Like I got you, like
Right.
you know. That's where we're at too. And I also feel like, as much as that's also to show you the beauty of how big the world is. I felt that music, steel pan has done so much, is doing so much, and it's still under discovered. And even me in my position, I really want to start doing something to start educating. And thanks to your platform, I think that's part of it. Like just educating people, like, hey, trust me, like what you think is happening in what's your perception of the steel pan world, or it's so much more. There's so much you can do with the steel pan right now.
No, that's super awesome, man. And I think you know, when I think about like music and even the arts, like in schools now, at least in the States, like it's getting pushed out further and further.
Mhm.
And, you know, music was great for me in school, and I think it's one of the I'm super thankful for like taking music from music teachers, and the experiences I had through music.
Mhm.
So I love to hear like experiences and things that people can do to still like engulf themselves in music, because I think it's super important. And it's an art that I think is in danger in some ways. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah, it is.
I mean, there's a lot of computer programs now and things that people can get to create music in one way. But like you talked about that real musicianship and
Yeah.
understanding music, that part is getting like
Mhm.
devalued a little bit. And I think we need to spend, and really expose like kids and younger folks to more of that. Like I think that's necessary to keep the real
Yeah.
like music alive.
Yeah, you're right. I'm frozen, but can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and you're right. And it's two things, as you said, that I want to touch base on something: the hypocrisy of society in terms of the arts. I always find like, and that's something I struggle. I remember as a teacher, I would the parents would be so proud. Hey, yeah, he can come to band practice. He can come to band practice. And then when exams come, they'll be like, hey, he can't come to band practice because he has priorities now. And that's the way they would treat the arts through school. Like
Mhm.
it's something like it's go and have fun, go and develop your brain. But when it comes to real life decisions, it's no longer important. The
Mhm.
hypocrisy is someone, one of those kids, they would be discovered. They would be discovered as an artist, and all of a sudden the parents are, oh, that's my child. My child is an amazing celloist or amazing steel pan player. And I just like, where was the faith in the arts? It's always, and a lot of people like they don't encourage. They see arts as something like it's a risk, like, oh, you're going to be full-fledged in the arts. And even musicians themselves, they don't have faith in the arts. Like I remember when I resigned from teaching to go on cruise ships, a mentor of mine, a guy I actually looked up to, he told me, what, you're resigning from teaching to go on to be a full-time musician? Like, and as a musician himself, he's a recognized musician, and he also was indirectly discouraging me to take music full fledged. And I was just like, wow, like look at how we as society, we don't even know how to encourage people in the arts. It's disgusting to me sometimes. Like it's just disappointing. I won't say disgusting, but it's a little disappointing. It's something we have to learn how to teach ourselves. Like like even something, I'll just show you a journey back to bring you back to my journey. I remember after I left college, something I was privileged. I started teaching very young too. And I remember I was playing still, I was already working at hotels in a band. And the owner of the band, he told me, I remember I was trying to encourage, no, not that's not the story I'm saying. I wanted to say people used to ask me, what do I do? And for the likes of it, I was already so consciously knowing that I'm a musician. I used to tell people gladly, yeah, I'm a musician. I work at the hotels. I play gigs. I play hotels. And oh yeah, I'm a school teacher on the side. I deliberately phrase it like that
Mhm.
because people would phrase it the other way. People would be proud to say, I'm a school teacher and then I do music on the side. No, I do music and teaching is my side job. I deliberately phrase it like that because I know society. If I mention I'm a school teacher, I know the way they receive school teacher compared to be a musician is completely different. So
Mhm.
instead of they beating me to that, I beat them to what I want them to perceive it. I want you to perceive this means more to me. I'm not undermining neither, but this means more to me, and I want you to give me the respect because this is what I'm passionate about. And then show you what you might see more prestigious. I just show you like it's a side job for me. I'm not undermining, I'm just showing you that this is how I prioritize it. It's a side
Yeah.
job for me. I'm just hoping to maybe one day full-fledged going to being a musician,
Yeah.
you know?
I feel that. I feel that totally.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. You got a lot of stuff to think about. I've literally. I'm sorry. I'm listening to everything because I'm like, wow. It's just so
Thanks,
like.
man. Thanks, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it, appreciate it. But yeah, but this has been my journey. Let me give a little. I just want to give a little flip off, not off topic, but back to my bio. You on your description. I'm not calling you out, guys, but I deliberately saw the error and I wanted to use it in the show. You said that I was from Paix Bouche, Dominica. There's actually a Paix Bouche in Dominica, but I'm actually from Paix Bouche, Saint Lucia. I was born and raised in Saint Lucia. And the reason I also found it was very important, I'm glad that you did the research and got Paix Bouche. And Paix Bouche is in Saint Lucia, we have a Creole. It's a French Creole. We were dominated by both England and France.
Mhm.
And the word Creole, the word Paix Bouche actually translates to shut your mouth. Now, I'm going to also use your platform to advocate for something I think people are not. It's an interesting history. It was called "Shut Your Mouth" because they wanted to keep a secret. The secret was Napoleon's wife, his lover, the girl he was in love with, Josephine. She was actually born in Saint Lucia. Now, remember I told you that Saint Lucia changed hands, French and English. The time she was born in Saint Lucia, she is French. She's French royalty. The time she was born in Saint Lucia, England was in charge of Saint Lucia. So they did not want her to belong to England. So they lied and said she was born in Martinique, which is our next door island. So that's like a big controversy. I think someone already put it on Wikipedia, and I think I want to do more research because like that's like a big history there. And I think now with technology, that's something I actually want to push this agenda back. So the place I'm called is called Paix Bouche because they were trying to keep that secret from going out. That Empress Josephine was actually born in Saint Lucia, an English territory.
Mm. Hey, Al, you dropping all kinds of
I'm there, right?
like I'm getting a whole lesson right today. Like I'm not. This is real.
I just felt uncomfortable for a second because I was like, I'm a little too quiet, but I was just really just sitting like, wow. Like the whole time, I was like, wow. I want to ask a question, but I was like, but I want to finish the story. Like I want to.
Sorry.
No, it's great.
No, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying. I feel you guys feel it feeding into my. I mean, I love talking. As I said, this is my job, but it also depends on the energy.
Yeah.
And the energy waves at the time. Like I can feel the energy flowing and want to come out. So it comes out. It's a mutual connection right now. Honestly.
Appreciate it.
So let's take a switch down. Let's hit the sport.
That's why I mess with you, bro. Because I was literally, if you don't say it, I'm gonna say it. I'm telling you, because this good energy you said. Now let's direct that. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Should I go grab my jersey now?
Oh man, look! I know you got it somewhere. You know where you wipe off countertop. Use it as a rag to dry things off. But the first thing, we got two kind of topics we're going to talk about in the National Basketball Association. The first one that I'm going to throw out there was, do you think the Lakers are going to win the chip again? I'll leave it there, let you talk about it a little bit. We can get it on. Go ahead and throw your thoughts out there. How you feel about the Lakers this year?
I think they can for many reasons. I think they can, but not convincingly. That's what I do. I can't say convincingly, but I think they can. Many reasons. They're obviously not the super team. They're not like a super team going for a second like how the Miami was, or the early Lakers was. I don't feel them like that, or the Warriors. I don't feel them like obviously they're going to the finals. And especially LeBron's track record of how he's constantly brought teams to the finals. I'm not going to second guess if it's possible. It's very possible, especially with the main guy, LeBron. It's very possible. The reason even if they're on top now in the standings, I still think a lot of teams are still they themselves are still trying to catch the chemistry with the new guys they added. I feel similar, I can still feel a similar camaraderie with the guys they lost. Like I felt McGee and Dwight Howard and Danny Green, as much as what he did in the finals. That was just one game, but those three guys were so crucial to the team. And the replacement, the Gasols, the Schroeder, I love them. I know what they have done in other teams, but as I said, I've not seen. And I don't really watch much of the regular season. I just watch highlights. So I'm not sure if I feel the chemistry building yet. And also, this is still post-COVID kind of basketball, so we're not sure how. Even if the Lakers won in a COVID environment, we're not sure how this is gonna um, move over. Now, cross over to other teams I'm looking at. Steph kind of is trying to prove that he can carry his team, although I still think that's Draymond's team.
Okay. We'll go
Steph,
with
I
it.
like what he did, but
I had a chuckle.
I like what it. Yeah, I like what he, I like what, like as I said, that 62 points he did recently. Like I was like, yo, like, okay, he's doing a LeBron. While LeBron did a Steph Curry shot a few days ago.
Exactly. Exactly.
I had to touch base on that. Like, and I kid you not, like, yo, Nick, I literally switched on the exact moment LeBron made that play. That's the only play I saw, and I think I was doing something else. I was like, wow, like really, LeBron, like you did the Steph Curry.
It's the Steph Curry. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Warriors, I think Steph, but I still see them as a low seed in a playoffs. I don't see them moving past maybe 7 or 8. Not to insult them or anything. I just don't see he passing. I think they might make it. They might be the playoffs, but very low seed. Rockets obviously losing Harden. Rockets. I'm not sure who else in the West could we count on. Was Spurs. Yeah. So the West. It's so sad. LeBron moving to the West, and for some reason the West seems so unreliable now. It's crazy. Like as if does LeBron have like I'm as I said I'm a diehard LeBron. I'm a modern age bandwagoner LeBron, and we can go into that if you want. But it's just crazy. Like I feel like LeBron has been getting so much. The hate gets is because he's in the East. He comes to the West, and the West is shit now. Like I just like, is it LeBron is lucky or is he just what the haters are afraid to say about him? You know, so the West, so like, that is the West Coast. So now the East, surprisingly, this trade has made me think like, wow, like, damn, like Brooklyn on paper seemed to be a very good idea, but theoretically now, like, I felt like those three guys, they all had ego issues. Like, what the name starts. KD left OKC for ego reasons. He left Warriors technically for ego reasons because he felt like no one accepted him as a Warriors. And now he kind of find a team that's his team. And as much as Kyrie was there kind of little before him, Kyrie left, the rumors are because he didn't want to be a second to LeBron. And you came to be in a second to the second arguable or the first arguable best player, KD. You came to work with. Now you're bringing the other guy that is egotistic as James Harden. Like, it's a recipe for disaster, which we have seen a lot of super teams being disaster. I've seen but I'm curious. As I said, I'm not going to count them out. The first game, the chemistry was there. They did really good. He did 45 points, I think. James Harden.
Yep.
And it did spark interest in me. It did spark like, wow, like these guys just quickly put themselves as the contender. Although Boston seems to be the most consistent team in the East right now, and Milwaukee and Raptors, they kind of they hang in there. They're also consistent, but not the strong consistent I could say. They're just consistently like contenders. They're not the although yeah they're not. I don't consider them they're not the team to beat. No team in the East seems to be the team to beat. I think that's the best way I could say it. They all just okay. You consistently doing really well. So Celtics seem to have the same roster per se. So I would probably give them the edge in terms of coming out from the East. Miami disappointed me the most. Like I expected they would probably. I didn't expect them to be a one-hit wonder finals maker. I really thought they were gonna keep that same energy and probably build back to making it back to the East final or to the NBA finals, that is. But the startup they had there, no. So my thing is right now, all the teams are unstable, and LeBron has the most experience in finals. So in essence of analyzing it right now, yes, I think I can see Lakers repeating.
Cool. Donnie, go ahead and give your opinion. Or you want me to give mine?
No, I gotta say no. No, I think there is contest. I do. I think that the Brooklyn team is designed to run people out the gym with the ones. That's what I think. They have 3 people that love to get out and get down the court. The problem I got is, like I said, when you run with the ones, crazy probably mad crazy. The DJ, nobody's even talking about DJ. DJ's dope, and he's still relatively young too. You know what I mean? Uncle Jeff, but Uncle Jeff is Uncle Jeff. But those are the ones. We talked about the twos. Like I said, I mean, Joe Harris is good. Joe Harris is a phenomenal 3-point shooter, so he can space. But I mean, everybody else is okay. You know what I mean? But I'm like, you look at the second level of the Lakers, you got THT. THT is coming on like, who is anybody? Like he's out there. You don't care. He's balling. Wes Matthews coming off the bench. You know what I mean? KCP. Well, no, he probably run with the ones, depending. But he's a tweener. He can go to ones, twos. You know what I mean? Kuz, if we get the good hair day Kuz, he can bring something to the table. But yeah, I think that's the thing. I think as you said, Al, I think the West is kind of discombobulated now, whereas it used to be like West Coast is always stacked and it was always kind of easy. But it's just a lot. Especially with all the like Hardens in the East now, the KDs in the East now. It's convoluted, so it's hard to see. I want to say, at this point, Lakers are title contenders just because of the depth that they have. They got serious depth, and I think, and on top of that, LeBron plays for the second half of the season, and I think he's teaching AD that philosophy, that mentality. Like, it's whatever up until All-Star. Then at the All-Star weekend, they come back and they trying to blow by everybody. So, that's my take. I say at this point in time, yes, Lakers are title. They're gonna go back for the chip.
So I mean, I think definitely they definitely have a high chance. I think they went and got a lot of different skill players in the summer. I mean, as far as continuity and chemistry goes, I mean, it'll probably take a little while. I think they could have kept the same team from last year and been fine. But if you got 2 all-stars on your team, I think not just all-stars in the sense of, there's all-stars who are on the bench too, right? Like they're not starters. You got 2 of the top players in the league right now on your team. You always gonna have a shot. Like period, point blank, it is what it is, right? I think, you know me. I like LeBron off the court. I think he's an amazing dude and does amazing business things, philanthropy, top notch, probably one of the best NBA players, if not the best, when it comes to that side of things and his how he speaks up about different things and his moves there. But when it comes to being on the court, I'm always I feel like he gets a little bit of extra love on some basic things he does sometimes. I mean, you brought up the Steph Curry shot, and I feel like I saw so many videos of this shot, and I'm like, oh my God, Steph been doing this for years now. But now they're gonna be like, oh my God, LeBron did a bet, and oh my God, it's the most amazing thing in the world. And it's like,
because if you'd have missed it, it'd have been Shaq and a fool, like ridiculous.
yeah, it would have been
Exactly.
you get what I'm saying? It's something that Curry Ben did, right? But either way, like I think when we talk about that either way, LeBron is still going to be ranked as, if not the best player in the game right now, like number 2, if not the best. You know what I mean? There can be arguments with KD and whatever. I think the West still has some components. Like I still think Denver has components. I still think Utah has components. I still think
Utah sketch to me.
Yeah, I mean, none of them have the 1-2 punch that the Lakers had. Like when you think about it, if you took away those components from each team,
yeah,
most of their benches, I mean, probably could run with each other, right? But when you put in 2 of the top players against who's with Denver? Is it Murray? It's Murray and
Murray and Joker.
Porter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're still gonna pick LeBron and AD over any of their 2 stars.
True.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what it boils down to. So if I look at it that way, but I mean, to get to the Warriors, I think the Warriors gonna be back soon. I mean, Clay going down messed things up, but I think James Wiseman is gonna be a top center in a couple years, because he got slim balls out. Like he dope. He got a skill set that I think he's gonna be dope. But on the East, I definitely think. I mean, the Nets put themselves in a place where it's like win now type of mentality, because you put, I mean, James Harden and KD. It's the same thing as that 1-2 punch in LA, as far as 2 top players in their prime, go get it. I think Kyrie, I don't even know he's gonna be there. Like, I don't know what's going on with him right now. You seen that? You remember the episode of Martin where Martin like went to the he became a monk and like he was disappeared. Like I feel like Kyrie Irving is in this place where he's in his own mind now and dealing with some stuff. So if he's there, great. If not, I still think James and KD present a certain problem. It's just when you put that type of talent together, when it comes to winning a game, you can, especially in the playoffs, you can figure out how to win. You know what I'm saying? And I think that becomes the deciding factor at the end of the day. Like chemistry, teams, all of that matters during, to me, the more in the regular season to get you to a certain point in the standings. But then when you get to the playoffs, it's like, all right, we need to win. Let me keep feeding this person that I know can get me a basket every time. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Yes, you need a team. Yes, you got to have that like chemistry. But at the end of the day, who has the better stars? A lot of times, it's usually who wins. Not all the time. We've definitely seen, the Detroit Pistons beat that Lakers team that had all those stars, and they were just a great team. It can happen, but I don't think there's any great teams built right now because of how free agency works and everybody's trying to get superstars. I don't feel like people build great teams anymore. I think the Warriors are the closest thing to before KD. Great team. Maybe the Celtics. I'll say the Celtics too, because they drafted those players and are you know what I mean, grooming them.
But sorry to
go ahead.
Let me is a discussion I also wanted to have. Why is great teams the way you described it exactly? That's what people do. Why does credit be given to the organization, the VPs, the scouts? Why you're giving them credit for building a team, but for LeBron or the players building a team, they don't get the same credit? Why is that? Why the Warriors team was great? Because it was the GM that said, hey, get Clay, get Curry, get Draymond. They get recognition for that. There's no salt, no hate for that. But LeBron, who says, "Hey, I want to play with Wade and Bosch," he gets slapped for that. I don't understand the dynamics of how people criticize the players for choosing the teams, but they don't criticize the owners for choosing the teams.
Well, I think to me it boils down to when owners or like scouts are picking players, they're looking at potential most of the time. They're saying this player comes with a certain amount of potential. I think we can put him in our program and develop him. I think what LeBron did was take people who had already established themselves and said, "Hey, let's play together." Right? That's cool. I mean, I'm not against it. Do your thing. Like, he changed the way players look at their contracts. He changed a lot. Like, I'm all for players getting their money, like going after the chip, like doing what they need to do. But I think the big difference is LeBron didn't develop Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh. He didn't develop them in any way. They were already developed, and he said, "Let's play together." AD, he may be giving AD a little bit of mindset, but at the end of the day, AD's game has already been developed. You're just taking a player who was already a star and saying, "Come with me so we can stack the deck." You know what I'm saying? So I think he's never going to get the amount of credit. LeBron would get more credit if, like, in Cleveland, if he would have kept Andrew Wiggins, right? And not gone and got Kevin Love. If he would have kept Andrew, like, Michael Jordan gets credit because he groomed Scottie Pippen. Like, Scottie wasn't Scottie Pippen when he came in the league. Like, he got drafted and then traded on day one. So it wasn't like he came in like, "Oh my God, he's going to be a top 50 player." He came in and started working, like doing workouts with Michael, getting stronger with Michael. All right, you don't want to hear no more? I'm sorry.
Sensitive topic for all of us.
I mean, I just really feel like he groomed Pippen to be the player Pippen was. Like, you know what I mean? I wholeheartedly believe without Michael Jordan, Pippen wouldn't have been Pippen.
Yeah,
like, I don't think he would have become the player he was.
Yeah. I think I've heard Pippen say the same exact thing. They made each other better. I mean, it just was that. I mean, obviously, one more so than the other, but yeah.
I'm just like, if you know, yeah, I just feel like I said, like I feel like MJ really taught Pippen like the game. Like, and you know, people would be like, "Oh, well, they had Phil Jackson as a coach, and like LeBron's never had a coach like that." But I mean, even MJ said it. MJ was like, "Phil didn't really teach me the game per se. Phil was a great, like, he was a therapist. He could take all those egos and say, okay, here we go. We need to work together." Zen, he was that guy, right? But Jordan was like, "I learned, Dean Smith taught me the game. Like, Dean Smith taught me how to the fundamentals, the skill set of the game," right? So people put it on the coach. I don't think LeBron wants a great coach. I think LeBron likes having a coach that is there and can be good, like, but he wants to run the team. He wants to be the coach on the floor, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I think who's the coach in Miami? What's his name?
Eric Spoelstra.
I think, right, what's his name? But I think now he's actually coaching.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now he's getting a chance to coach. You're seeing him be out there. But when LeBron and them was there, he wasn't coaching. He was like, I mean, you know, what you want to do? You want to go in? Okay, go ahead. Go for it. You need to go in?
But Nick, don't you think you shooting yourself with your argument right now, because you try to say that Jordan was grooming his players, but now you're trying to say that LeBron is basically pulling the plug in the coaching too. Wouldn't you consider that grooming the team itself?
I think I don't. So what is here's what I mean by that. What is the what's the word I'm looking for? What is their like strategy? Like, when you look at LeBron teams play, do you think they have plays, or do you think LeBron is on the court? Like, I'm not taking away from him being a smart player, right? But I think their plays are like, okay, shooters go to the corners. I'm gonna drive, and either everybody's gonna come in on me, and I'll kick it, or I'll be able to take the one player that's checking me straight to the hole because I'm too big for him. There's no point guard that can check LeBron in the paint right now, but he's playing point guard. You feel what I'm saying? So like, there's certain mismatches that he's smart. Like, yes, he knows the game probably better than any player in the league right now. I give him all of that, right? But when you're taking, like I said, I would have way more respect when it comes to that if he can take Kuzma and make Kuzma an all-star. Make Kuzma an all-star, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's LeBron did that. Kuzma already had talent. He wasn't an all-star. He has potential. But you know what? I don't think Kuzma is going to get much better on that team. Because LeBron is like, look, here's the game plan. We got two superstars. Y'all fall in and do what you like. Pick up the pieces and let us work. Let us do what we do. Y'all pick up the pieces. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he's a big, I'm going to make the next, like, potential person be better. Like Kuzma.
Now I can add to your argument because I was thinking about, like, I think a lot of us LeBron defenders, we would quickly say, when LeBron leaves the team falls all the way flat. And to your argument is when Jordan left his team, they did not fall flat. They were actually very, very high contenders. So the argument LeBron is really catering build. I'm just adding to your argument. I'm not saying I'm agreeing. LeBron is really building teams to be successful for him, not necessarily to be successful moving forward. Yeah, that's basically the essence of your argument.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
I can respect that. I'm not going to retort because my train of thought is not really there, but I can understand what you're saying.
I don't like, and that doesn't like. He's a great player. I mean, a player that can do that, a player that can say, look, put it all on me and still get to the finals as much as he does and win as much as he has. Hey, you can't take nothing away from him. But I do think there's a level of like, okay, it's still his formula needs another great player, not someone he made great. Like, he needs another great player that's already great. Like, that's the only way his formula works. Or he's not going to win. Like, he's not going to win a title without that other great player. And people argue that, like, well, Jordan had Pippen. He did. You're right. But Pippen didn't come in as a great player. You feel what I'm saying? Like, Pippen learned. Pippen trained. Pippen got all this stuff from Jordan. It was like, okay, cool. And then they added pieces around. And the difference, like, great teams, going back to that, is like they had Horace Grant who rebounded. That was his job. Go get the rebounds, right? They had John Paxson who shot three-pointers. Like, he was the shooter. That was his job. Michael was the scorer and the defender. Pippen brought the ball up and was a great defender and could score, right? Like, everybody had a job. When you think about the Lakers team,
so would you consider Bulls' second three-peat? Did they not acquire superstars? Dennis Rodman? Would you consider that's what he did?
No, I mean, I agree. So I look at that like, I mean, the Lakers last year got Dwight Howard, right? I think Dennis Rodman was in the same kind of space that Dwight Howard was in. Dennis Rodman had gone through what? Detroit. He went through the Spurs, and then he got to the Bulls.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like the Dennis Rodman that was, I mean, he still did the job, but all he needed to do was bring energy and get rebounds.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with like Dwight. Dwight, stand in the middle, bring energy, and block a couple shots. That's all I need you to do, right? So in some sense, you know, that was that. But I feel like LeBron's stat sheet is always so big because it's like he built it that way. Like, I'm going to do everything. I got it. I'm going to get the rebounds. I'm going to make the assists. I'm going to make the points. I'm going to do all that. And then all I need is three-point shooters. He loves to have people stand around the perimeter and just let me do my job with another great person. And now he got AD. So, like, I think he's gotten better. Like his 3-point shot is way better than it was when he first got in the game. I think he's developed how to play where he doesn't have to always be inside. He gives AD some space to like play his game inside. So I think he's evolved as a better player for sure than he was like, when he first came. I definitely think he's the best player. I think he's better than KD, right? Like, and I think he's the best player in the league right now. You know what I mean? I give him that. But I do think his formula is like, I got to have somebody great with me or I can't win a title. And that's, it is what it is. It works. I think at the end of the day, if the goal is to get a championship and it works, my hands up to you. Do your thing. But I still talk trash about him.
I say that's similar. As I said, I just feel like I'm not enthused about defending my angle because you made some good points. I will respect it. As I said, I mentioned already. I think we LeBroners, we have used the argument that when LeBron leaves the team actually drops, and I'm not realizing now, is that really a good thing that if he leaves the team is no longer good? So that means, were you really influential? And actually LeBron gets a lot of credit for that's some of the arguments we say about LeBron. We say LeBron is a great he makes his team better. He makes his team better. And I'm just saying, but if he made his team better, why when he left the team is no longer good? So I can see that argument. As I said, I'm just not full 100 excited to retort. Not that I agree with you though.
It's okay, man. just admit it, man. It's okay. Yeah. I enlighten you to something now. You're like, oh, wait a minute. He got me.
No, it's not about that, man. It's no.
I got this one. Don't worry.
It's not about it. It's just. I'll be honest. I've gotten 2 days. I've gotten a barber shop. I just don't have the energy for the hate sometimes. Like once I get the hate, I was like, really? That's what you got. That's the argument. I just feel that our vantage point is just different because you say that, and I'm somebody I could understand people's vantage point. Not necessarily mean I would like you, or I recently the reason my energy is low. I was in a barber shop conversation. Funny enough, the guy threw me off because he came to the barber shop with a Cleveland 23 jersey. So that means the version was LeBron's first time in Cleveland. And I was like, oh, I'm his brother. Like, we're gonna have a good conversation. Only that the barber actually knows him. He was like, why are you wearing that? It's like, if I give you the story why I have this jersey on. So I felt the energy. I was like, oh, so he's not a LeBron fan. And then the conversation went in, and then he started talking about Kobe, and then he gave me a whole argument about why Kobe is not like LeBron is not like Kobe. It's just Kobe. He said Kobe was just, the mentality of Kobe was just zoned in, and he gave me his whole philosophy as Kobe. And I just and the fact that like I can just, it's not that I can respect someone's argument, and that's where I am now. Like I just respected that argument of what he said about Kobe, and when he said it, I was like, wow, that makes sense. And then I was like, you know what, I just don't have the energy to retort. I've defended LeBron and I just felt like it just was like spitting in mud, because whatever I say, I felt like it just goes to wrong end. And I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, I get it, because let me show you how I get it. I am not a fan of Steph Curry. I do not.
See, we can't even hear no more of that.
I was about to say,
can't even hear no more of that.
You can't really say that in Silicon Valley. They shut it down. You said
those words, and immediately, I don't know if you can hear us, Al, but you got shut down.
You still thinking about it? You still thinking about it? Okay. Well,
I mean, I know we had time, overtime.
Yeah, we had time. Uh,
Conversation.
give him another stick. There you go. Okay.
That is.
All right.
Either way.
So you already know what it is. I guess you can find out more about Xandr on social media. Also in the links below. Check us out for our next upcoming episodes. They're just gonna be as hilarious as this one, and fact finding, by the way. So you got anything else you want to share, Baker?
Nah, man, same thing. You know, definitely always good conversations. Check us out next week. We'll be right back here, same time, same channel, doing what we do. Al, you know, we appreciate you coming on. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, but it's been good. It's been good. It's been.
No,
good.
we
It's been
appreciate
good.
you coming on, man. Thank you so
Really
much for the
appreciate it.
conversation. All the gems and the I learned a lot from this conversation today.
Man,
So
I
I
was quiet
appreciate
the
it.
whole time.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
absolutely.
And come to the islands, man, guys. It's open.
Oh, yeah.
We're accepting vacationers. So yeah,
I'm with
come
it.
through, guys.
Saint Lucia, I'm on the
Yeah.
I'm
way.
gonna look for you.
All right.
All right, now.
Have a good one.